Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. She said it while rinsing a glass like I was a fundraiser she hadn't agreed to host. A trip? I'm slammed. Maybe fall. We'll see. No eye contact. No smile. Just the tap of the faucet and her shoulder turned toward the window like the backyard had a better pitch than I did. I stood there with my weekend plan already booked out in my head. 2 nights up the coast, phones off, real food, long walks. I had the routes printed. I'd even swapped my on-call rotation with a guy at the shop. I kept my voice even. Got it. Busy. Thank you, she said, and dried the glass, moving past me like I was part of the kitchen island. If I'd known where it was headed, I'd have skipped the polite phase and gone straight to steel rules. But I still thought you could fix distance with effort. That was mistake number 1. I set the table that Friday anyway. Candles, her playlist, steak resting under foil. When she came home late, she stood in the doorway and looked at the setup like it was a middle school dance. Thought we could have a real dinner, I told her. That's sweet, Natalie said, each letter stretched. I had a salad at work. Sit for 20 minutes, I said. Then we both go back to being slammed. She put her bag down but didn't take off her coat. You know what I need? Space. Not this. The steaks bled through the plate. I took a breath, moved a candle aside, and Saturday, okay, let's talk space. No, not a talk. Just not all this attention. It's too much lately. She checked her phone. It feels clingy. I pushed my chair back. Clingy is printing maps. You're everywhere, she said, flicking at the table. Dinners, questions, checking calendars. It's a lot. So no trip, no dinner. What does a lot cover next exactly? Do you hear how you sound? She said, laughing once, flat, a mark on a page. Like I'm on a performance plan and you're HR. I should have left the table then. Instead, I tried to negotiate. A weekend. That's it. Hard pass, she said, and walked to the sink. I killed the candles, boxed the food, and put my jacket on. Natalie turned her head. Where are you going with the dramatic coat? I'm hitting the gym, I answered. We can be back by 10 like roommates. Treadmill therapy, she said, smiling into the faucet. Cute. The word hit louder than the cupboard door. I nodded. Noted. On the drive, I made the first change. If effort was a lot, then I'd stop supplying it. Not a punishment. A boundary. Separate calendars, separate routines. No scene. Just a fact. The next morning, I wrote it down and read it out to her when she walked in with her hair still wet and a towel around her shoulders. A memo. She pinched a smile. Ground rules, I said. I'm removing myself from your schedule. We'll coordinate essentials. Otherwise, we're independent. I won't pitch trips. I won't chase dinners. If you need something, say it like an adult. If I need something, I will. Phones stay on for emergencies. That's the whole list. She blinked. You're setting rules for me? I'm setting rules for me, I replied. And for the house. Minimal overlap. You wanted space. I respect it. Wow, she said. Power move. I prefer clean move. She wrapped the towel tighter, leaned on the frame. Is this because I didn't want your itinerary? It's because I don't repeat what's not welcome, I told her. The door swings both ways. Okay, coach, she said, and took her coffee into the study. Good luck with your schedule. I let it stand. I shifted my hours at the shop to earlier blocks, started running before sunrise with my neighbor Mike, retired firefighter, knees like gravel, mouth like a news ticker. Mike asks one question on any given day, and it's always inconveniently accurate. What did you do? He said, stretching on my stoop at 5:30. Stop pushing a rope, I said. Good. Ropes don't push, he said. And stop smiling like you're fixing something. You're just changing doors. At Morgan's backyard barbecue that Sunday, Natalie went for the public version. Morgan is her co-worker, loud, tall, loves hosting, 3 strings of patio lights even in daylight. She handed Natalie a glass and said, So, big romantic weekend? Just loud enough. Natalie laughed into her cup. He planned candles. At home. Because, effort. Somebody snorted. I looked at the grill and flipped a burger. Morgan gave me a friendly wince. We tease, she said. We love you guys. Tease away, I said, and moved the hot dogs to the warming rack. Natalie slid up next to me, hip against the pickup table. Don't pout, she said, not bothering to drop her voice. It's a joke. I'm not pouting, I said, watching the flames. I'm deciding if I ride with you home or not. She laughed again. Don't start that. I drove alone, I answered. You're covered. Morgan tried to lighten it. Married people, man. You both are adorable. I set the tongs down and turned to Natalie. One request, I said. Since we're doing rules now, she said. Call it manners, I replied. If you're done with me, don't practice it here. Her smile thinned. So sensitive. Or, I said, just a simple boundary in public. Everyone knows we're fine, she said, waving at the group. He's dramatic. Mike was across the yard with a beer and a dog that wasn't his. He caught my eye and did the tiniest head shake. Translation, don't bite. I rinsed my hands with the hose, dried them on my jeans, and set my plate on the fence. I'm taking off, I told Morgan. Thanks for hosting. You're leaving? Natalie asked. Yep, I said. You can catch a ride with Kara or call a car. Text me if you need the spare key. Morgan's eyebrows went up, impressed or curious. I didn't care which. Natalie leaned forward. Don't be ridiculous, she said. You brought me. I brought myself, I said. You brought you. She stared, waiting for me to flinch. I didn't. I thanked Morgan again, waved at Mike, and walked out the side gate. That was initiative number 2 and the first one in front of witnesses. Natalie wanted distance. She got it with people watching. The next morning, there was a cup of coffee on my workbench exactly how I take it. She set it down like she was delivering a package nobody had to sign for. You woke up early, she said. Been early, I answered, tightening a belt on a serpentine system. I own a small auto shop on the north side. My weekdays smell like coolant and hand cleaner. My guys don't bother with small talk unless it sounds like a tool. She glanced around the shop like she hadn't been a dozen times. I shouldn't have said that stuff at Morgan's, she said. Noted. I got caught up, she added. Everyone makes jokes. Then make them about the weather, I said. Jokes about me don't keep you warm at night. She paused. Can we reset? Already did, I told her. Separate schedules. Minimum overlap. We're good. She waited, expecting a soft landing. I went back to the belt. She left the coffee and walked out, lingering long enough for my guys to pretend to check their phones. At lunch, Mike crossed his arms at the edge of the bay. How's your minimum overlap going? Quiet, I said. Quiet as cash, he said. Stay there. For a week it was even. We worked, ran, slept. Natalie built her own schedule, too. Late nights, meetings, gym classes with instructors who only exist if you pay annual fees. I kept my side clean. I paid the bills I covered. I stopped doing the ones she decided were invisible. I took the guest room, not with a sermon, just with a folded blanket and a pillow I bought myself. I stopped coordinating dinners. If I cooked, I ate. If I didn't, I didn't. Simple. She tried a second softening a few days later, this time big. She wore the dress from our first anniversary to the living room and sat next to me on the couch like we were about to book a vacation in an ad. Tonight, she said. Just us? I can cancel Pilates. We'll order something, watch a movie. Your pick. That's generous, I said, putting my phone face down. She angled her head. You're welcome. I watched her face for a beat. Then I shook my head. Not tonight. You're saying no? Yes. She exhaled like the air had standards. You ask for connection, and when I offer it. I didn't ask, I cut in. I offered. You declined, twice, with jokes. I adjusted. This isn't a performance. It's me not applying for a job I used to have. You're punishing me. I'm removing myself from requests I didn't make, I said. This isn't about punishment. It's about clarity. She stood, the dress folding at her knees. You're cold. No, I replied. I'm steady. There's a difference. She looked me over like a buyer at an estate sale. You used to fight for things. I do, I said. For respect. Her lips pressed together. Fine. Do whatever schedule thing makes you feel in charge. You do whatever makes you feel less crowded, I said. We'll meet at truth. I started spending more time with people who had nothing to trade me. Mike, my brother-in-law Jordan who hates conflict but loves tools, and an old customer named Tess who runs the bakery across from my shop. Tess is 50, has the deadpan of a judge and the hands of a mechanic. She slid me a bag of rolls one afternoon without looking up. You look lighter, she said. Separate calendars, I told her. Good, she replied. Stay out of crowds that clap when you bleed. At home, the night stretched. Natalie went out, networking. I didn't ask for definitions. It's not that I trusted blindly. It's that I had standards. If she wanted to earn doubt, she could do it all by herself. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. One Thursday, she left without a word around 7. She'd been edgy all day, lipstick on, then off, then on again. I didn't comment. I grilled a piece of chicken, ate at the counter, cleaned as I went, and sat with a book on the porch. At midnight, I checked our shared location, something we had set up for safety months ago when she kept misplacing her phone. There's nothing noble about pretending you didn't notice the dot. It was in the east side, near the river, pulsing over a restaurant that still had lights on in the bar. I watched it for a while, told myself I wasn't a hall monitor, then put my jacket on and drove. I parked across the street without turning the engine off. Through plate glass, I saw her. She wasn't alone. The man with her had that relaxed posture of someone who'd been practicing it. Sport coat, no tie, grin like a sales deck. They leaned in. Her laugh was new. Not the one I knew well, but a quieter, sharper one. Intimate by design. I didn't get out. I didn't give the city a show. I took 3 photos through the windshield, framed with dates and the hour on my dashboard, just for me. At 2:10 a.m., I texted her. Where did you go? 2 minutes later, my screen lit up. Not your business where I went. I cropped the cleanest of the photos and sent it with 2 words. Your call. Then I pulled away and drove home at the speed limit. Her ringtone started while I was on the freeway. I set the phone face down in the console and let it ring out. By the time I turned onto our block, the log showed 6 missed calls, 2 texts, and a recycled message. We need to talk. I let myself in, locked the door, and put her overnight bag on the chair by the window without thinking. The phone buzzed again, and I answered on speaker. What are you doing? She said. The tone was new, breathless, rehearsed drop of panic. Sleeping soon, I said. You went there? Are you kidding me? I don't kid, I said. You're being controlling, she said, defaulting to a word that usually wins. This is unhealthy. I don't care about your labels, I said. You left. You stayed. You sent a text at 2 in the morning saying I shouldn't ask questions, while you sat across from a man I've never seen. That's not a label. That's a Thursday. You don't understand, she said. It's not what you. I'm not interested in what you call it. I cut in. I don't want to see you in my house. Excuse me. Send me an address for your things, I said. I'll have them delivered tomorrow. You're not serious. I'm not soft, I said. Don't come back tonight. We can talk when I get there. No, I replied. That's not a thing anymore. Don't do this, she said. Please. Let's just. Send an address. I repeated and hung up. I slept. Not deeply. Not like a saint. Like a man who made a decision and intended to keep it. In the morning, I changed the entry code on the door and moved my documents into a lockbox. I took the watch my father left me and put it in my office drawer. I removed my name from 2 subscriptions I'd set up for both of us. Practical moves. No speeches. She didn't come that day. I think she expected me to thaw. That part of the playbook always works if the person across from you is campaigning. I wasn't campaigning. At the shop, Jordan rolled under a truck and reached out a greasy hand. You look like you ran a long race. I ended one, I said. You too good, he asked. We're polite, I said. Polite ends soon. Jordan nodded. Then, careful. You sure you don't want to? I don't know, sit with it. I sat with it while she sat in a bar at 2 in the morning, I said. I'm done sitting. He handed me a socket. Okay, tell me where to be when stuff needs lifting. Just be you, I said. I spent the next 48 hours in motion. I called a moving service and got a quote to pack standard items, clothes, hair products, shoes, the 2 boxes of decorations she loved. I put them in the spare room and labeled them with a piece of tape. Natalie, pick up. I sent her one message, address. At 11 p.m. 2 nights later, she texted, I'll come get it. We need to talk. No talk. Address, I replied. No response. Midnight, nothing. Then 3 o'clock. If I stop by after work tomorrow, can we have 5 minutes? You can have the 5 minutes it takes to choose what to take. That's all I wrote. I'll be home at 6. If you miss it, coordinate with the movers. She showed up at 6:05, tears already in the holster. I opened the door and stood aside. She walked in small steps like she was in a museum that could judge her. Don't do this, she started. I said you could pick up what you need, I told her. Do that. We should go room by room, she said. We built this together. I didn't answer. She tried again. I'm sorry I was dismissive. It's been stressful. Work is, she looked for a word she could wear. Intense. She waited for me to ask about it. I didn't. She raised her hands, palms out. Can we please reset? No big moves. We can uninstall that app thing. I'll be clearer. Whatever you want. I'll change. I didn't move. You said the word please 3 times already, I told her quietly. It's new. Keep it for someone who's buying the pitch. You're being cruel, she said. You're throwing everything away over a misunderstanding. I pointed to the spare room. Your things are there. She pivoted to the kitchen, brushed the counter with her fingertips like she was remembering a movie. It was an old friend, she said. Nothing happened. I didn't ask, I said. And I'm not collecting statements. I'm done. What does done even mean? She snapped. It means I started the paperwork, I said. You'll receive it. Read it, don't read it. Either way, we're over. You already. She stopped like the dust got thick. Why would you do that without talking to me? Because the talk happened, I said. For months. I was patient. You were busy. I invited you to dinner. You laughed. I invited you to a weekend. You said hard pass. I drew lines. You mocked them in front of people. I kept my tone flat. Then Thursday night happened, and the label I care about most, respect, left the house. That's done. Tears finally made it to the performance. She wiped them with the back of her hand. You always think you're the dignified one, she said. You're cold. I'm finished, I corrected. Not the same. She tried a different key. There's nothing between me and that man, she said. We were catching up. At 2 in the morning, I said. At a bar. You told me not to ask where you were. That's a complete sentence. She put both hands on the island, then pulled them back like it burned. What happened to us? She whispered. You stopped liking me, I said, and I won't live where I'm not liked. She looked at me for a long 10 seconds, searching for the version of me she could move. He didn't show. She walked to the spare room and stuffed a duffel with jeans and toiletries. She took 2 pairs of shoes, the anniversary dress, and the box of Christmas ornaments from her grandmother. She kept crying quiet. At the door, she stopped. I can fix this, she said, soft now, like you talk to someone who's selling you an appliance. You already tried to fix the optics, I said. This is structural. She tried one last angle. What are you going to tell people? The truth, I said. We grew apart. We're done. That makes me sound. I'm not writing your script, I said. Take care of yourself. She stared, then nodded as if she'd done something noble and not simply packed a bag. If you change your mind, she offered. I won't, I said. She gave the living room one last tour with her eyes, then stepped onto the porch. You'll regret this, she said, not as a threat, but as a habit. Maybe, I said, but not tonight. Then I closed the door. No slam. No dramatic speech. Just a lock clicking like metal does when it's doing its job. The next morning, I arranged a pickup for the rest of her boxes and sent the confirmation to the same number that had once been our shared joke line. I stopped following her location. I removed my access to her calendar, a one-button action. I put a list on the fridge for myself. Groceries, oil change, spare room repaint, guest towels, new sheets. Things that make a house honest. At work, Mike looked at my face and nodded as if I'd finally turned the right wrench. Better, he said. You didn't ask what happened, I replied. Don't need the play-by-play, he said. Just tell me if you want me to haul anything heavy. Already hauled, I said. I might rekey the side door. Do it, he said. Wind blows weird. Keep your doors right. In the first week, Kara, the friend who always loves a microphone, called me and left a long voicemail accusing me of being stubborn. I texted back one sentence. Tell Natalie to coordinate with the movers if she needs anything else. That was all. No variations. In the second week, Morgan cornered me at the bakery and spoke quietly, as if Tess would revoke her croissant privileges for drama. You sure? She asked. Yes. She looked rough, Morgan said. She cares, even if she, acted like a comedian. I don't need care after the show, I said. I needed respect during it. Morgan studied me and then gave a small nod. You always were steady. Good word, I said. A month later, the house was cleaned of her patterns. I changed nothing grand. Just replaced the throw pillows with solid colors, sold a shelf that always made me bump my shoulder, and moved my grandfather's toolbox to the den. I didn't post about it. I didn't host a ceremony. I lived. Saturdays, I'd take the bike out along the river with Mike and Jordan and a handful of men who don't talk about feelings, but know how to keep pace. We'd stop for breakfast at a place that serves everything on paper plates. Jordan would try to bait me into sports arguments, and Mike would pretend not to listen while winning at all of them. "Look at you," Jordan said one morning, pointing with his fork. "You're lighter." "Separate calendars," I said. "Separate everything," Mike added, smiling into his coffee. "It's like you got out of a rental and built a deck." I laughed. "It's a porch." "Deck," he insisted. "Because I said so." Work sharpened. I took on a fleet contract. I hired a kid from the community college who wanted to learn timing chains instead of YouTube arguments. The shop ran clean. Tess slid me an extra bag of rolls without explaining why. You could feel the math changing. 2 months in, a neighbor named Ava moved into the duplex across the street. She runs a landscaping crew and has forearms like a person who knows how to coil a hose. She waved from her porch the first morning. We exchanged the normal neighbor talk: trash day, streetlights, a lost cat. She smelled like rosemary and gas station coffee. When I finally asked if she wanted to grab tacos after a long day, she said, "As long as you don't talk about sprinkler heads," and that was easy. I didn't build a story around her. I didn't rush anything. I liked her because she asked clear questions and respected the word no. She liked that when I said I'd be at her truck at 7, I was there at 6:59 with 2 waters. One evening in late fall, I was closing up the shop when Kara walked in without saying hello. She never buys anything. She buys time. She looked around like the floor would agree with her. "Don't be a statue," she started. "She's miserable. Then she can rebuild," I said, sliding a receipt into a folder. "She knows she messed up," Kara said. "She told me she misses how you used to protect her." "She can miss the museum," I said. "It's closed." Kara crossed her arms. "You're cruel." "I'm clear," I said. "She says you're living your best life," Kara added, almost accusing. "I am living my real life," I replied. "Best is a word for ads." "Can't you meet for coffee?" Kara said. "Give closure. You're both adults." "No," I said. "We have closure." It arrived at 2:10 a.m., the night she said it wasn't my business where she went. Kara blinked. "So you're going to be alone forever to prove a point?" "I'm not alone," I said. "And I'm not proving anything. I'm protecting the only thing I control, my door." She shook her head like I'd failed a quiz she wrote. "You used to be nicer." "I'm still decent," I said. "Decent isn't soft." She left. Tess looked up from her receipts and gave me a look through the window that translated to good, done. Mike sent a text with a single thumb. Jordan called and asked if I wanted to help him rehang his garage shelf because he'd sneezed at it, and it quit. Normal people doing normal things. That's how you know you're out of a storm. I hear things because towns talk. The man from the restaurant isn't around. Natalie moved into a smaller place, closer to her office, so she can focus. Morgan said she's been taking time. That phrase always means you thought you had unlimited credit and the bank said no. I didn't gloat. I didn't bring it up. I don't need her to lose for me to win. I just need my house to stay quiet and honest. On a Sunday afternoon, Ava and I built a raised bed out back. She measured while I dug. She works like she's in a race against good weather. She asked how many tomatoes you can actually eat before you start resenting them. 6, I told her. "Wrong," she said, and kept cutting. 12. "After that you're negotiating." "Fair," I said. We didn't talk about anything else we didn't need to. That was the point. Before dinner, I got a text from a number I hadn't deleted. "I hope you're well." That was all. No hooks. No performance. I stared at it for a second and put the phone back down. I didn't reply because I had nothing to say. In the evening, I sat on the porch with a beer, not the brand you're thinking of, just a cold one, and watched the sun fall behind the sycamores. Mike walked by with his dog and waved. Jordan texted me a photo of the crooked shelf he'd fixed himself. Ava came out with a small bowl of strawberries from her yard and handed me one without comment. The house behind me was mine. The rules in it were mine, too. People ask me how you know when it's over. They want a forensic report. I don't have one. I have actions. She pulled away, then pushed. I invited, then set rules. She mocked the rules in public. I withdrew access. She went elsewhere at 2 in the morning and told me it was none of my business. I made it none of my business permanently. I didn't do speeches. I did logistics. Respect left, so I did too. The last thing I'll say is this. You can love someone's face and still not accept their terms. You can put flowers on a table and be told they're a lot, and then decide that your effort is something you don't put on clearance. There's dignity in trying once. There's power in not trying twice. Before all this, I thought leaving needed fireworks. Turns out it's a door and a sentence. Send me an address. That was it. I said it, I meant it, and I kept walking. I live better now by every simple measure. Sleep, work, friends, the sound of my own voice when I use it. She'll build whatever she builds. I won't be standing nearby to admire it. That's not punishment. That's clean living. And if I had seen the future on that night with the faucets and the glass, I'd still make the same dinner, light the same candles, and note the same laugh at the party. Then I'd write the memo sooner and keep the delivery shorter. You can't make someone like you. You can decide to like yourself enough to lock a door. So that's what I did. I locked it. I set a code I can remember. I water the tomatoes Ava claims I'll resent. I fix cars and shelves and the small things men fix when they aren't busy surviving. And when the house gets quiet at night, it's not lonely. It's clean. It's mine. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.